Retired Captain Cynthia McRae is a member of the Java Executive Committee. In addition, she serves on the Maryland Governor's Commission on Suicide Prevention, the Maryland State Veterans Commission, and the Montgomery County Veterans Commission. She attended Temple University School of Medicine, where she received her MD. She served in a variety of academic and executive leadership roles at the National Naval Medical Center, Walter Reed Army Medical Center, the Naval Medical Education and Training Command, and the Uniformed Services University. She held the position of Special Assistant to the Chief of Naval Operations for Diversity from April 2009 until her retirement in June 2013. A month later, she was reactivated, and she was recalled to active duty as the Chief Strategist for the 21st Century Soldiers Office under the command of the Chief of Naval Personnel. She held that position for 1 year, and then she again retired. Dr. McRae is a nationally recognized speaker on health, gender, and educational disparities in technology. She is the author or co-author of over 20 scientific papers, 3 book chapters, and over 200 invited presentations. She is also an avid soccer player. Let me repeat, soccer player, not fan. And that explains why she can still get into her uniform. Dr. McRae is now the Senior Vice President and Chief Medical Officer for Eagle Force Health, a data analytics company in Northern Virginia. Please welcome Cynthia to the podium.
Thank you. I'm going to use my sweeper voice since I'm a center back, so I can speak really loudly as you might expect. So thank you again for inviting me to speak for this Memorial Day unique Memorial Day service. But being unique is not really that new to the Japanese Americans who served during World War II. And our experience reflects some of America's internal conflicts, both before, during, and after World War II. And I believe that our collective experience, both as Japanese Americans as well as veterans, military service members, can strengthen that lessons of history so that we don't, especially now more than ever, so that we don't, those divisions don't repeat themselves. So I actually am the daughter of a Marine Corps veteran and the cousin of a highly decorated Vietnam veteran who served 4 tours in Vietnam and was field promoted to second lieutenant in the Hawaii National Guard, and then became retired as a captain, Army captain. Okay, so anyway, I know this won't come as a surprise to most of you who know me, but I'm not really normally a traditional Japanese American girl. Didn't do any of the things except medical school. Didn't do many of the things that they were expected of me as a daughter, mother, wife, but honoring those who came before us, as Al mentioned, is something that is really hardwired in all of us. And as a Japanese American service member, I feel like every day I have to, I'm privileged actually to remember the legacy of the 442nd, the 100th Battalion, 100th Battalion, the MIS, who paved that way for the integration of the Army, not just by race, but also by gender. So I wouldn't even be here today, right, if it weren't for the actions and the heroism of the Japanese American, not just the Japanese American segregated unit, but the other segregated units that served in World War II and before that. So I want to tell you a little bit of a personal story that I think will kind of, make it a little more concrete. And it's not about my journey. I'm really nobody. I'm nothing special at all. I joined the Navy. I served as a doctor. It was kind of like the easy way out, right? I wasn't one of those people that got sent into combat or anything like that. But why is that important? And I feel like every day that while I'm not anything special, but it did matter to someone. And it mattered a lot to someone in the 442nd. So I'm gonna tell you the story. I served 35 glorious years in the Navy. In the last 5 years, I was selected by CNO to work with him on his diversity team and as a personal assistant to him, advisor. And so, what did I do? Well, I got to do and to be exposed to a lot of events, not the least of which was really getting to know Terry Shima at the Japanese American Veterans Association and to learn a lot more about some of this history that's been relatively suppressed, especially in my family where my dad was interned in a relocation camp and my grandfather was actually arrested and put in a U.S. prisoner of war camp in Louisiana and was paroled in March of 1944 and returned to the Camp Jarrell in Arkansas. So I joined the Navy, and it's a little embarrassing to say that I was offered a scholarship to go to medical school, and I'm a little kid, right? So there wasn't really, everyone's got to go to college. There wasn't a lot of money left over for graduate school, right? So I said, I guess I'll join the Navy, and I was going to be the stealth medical officer that they wouldn't even know I was there. I ended up staying there for 35 years. In the last few years of my career, I did volunteer to be, help out, or even be an usher at the Japanese American, at the Congressional Gold Medal ceremony for the overflow that was done at the Hilton, the Washington. So the room was, all the chairs were lined up, it was packed, and people had their coats and stuff laid over on the chairs to save seats for themselves and their family. And I was standing there in my uniform from 1984, Daryl. I was standing there in my uniform, and a very distinguished looking man came out of the elevator. And he's wearing the Medal of Honor around his neck. So I ran over to him because this place was packed. People were sitting everywhere. And I grabbed his arm, and he took my hands, and he literally stroked my sleeve. And he said, imagine. He stroked my sleeve, and he goes, we never would have imagined to see a female Japanese American Navy captain when we were over in Europe. So I took his arm, and I said, sir, there is a seat for you up front. No idea if there was any seat up there up front, but there should have been, right? So I grabbed his arm, and we walked down the aisle, and he said to me, Halsey, he goes, I feel like I'm out of way, or I'm giving you away, or something. And I got to the front of the room, and of course there weren't any seats. So in a shout out to Java member Lieutenant General Joe Peterson, a fellow Hawaiian, leaped out of his chair. This is a 3-star general. Leaped out of his chair and said, sir, here's your seat. where he was gonna sit either. But again, thinking about that made me feel like, yeah, it was, I'm gonna live that legacy, because that's what I owe these, men who fought and died for us, and gave us the opportunity and the privilege to serve in the United States, Armed Forces. And I think that more than just the armed forces, they paved the way for women to be integrated in every part of society, including, as you know, Patsy Mink, who was a legislator who literally wrote Title IX, which was never about sports. It was always about giving women equal opportunity, unfettered, to education, equal education. Another objective. So I did work for the CNO, and I did have some did get to do some work on diversity, on inclusion in the military armed forces. And today we see that it's always been in the military that we actually have way more in common, right? And I think in civilian life too. But we have way more in common than we have differences. But why focus on the differences? Part of the inclusion and diversity strategy in the Navy in the 2009 to 2013 timeframe was that strategy of looking for all those things that unite us and make us a better unit. So I want to, I guess, end with talking about those lessons that were learned. And one of the things I think that I would take forward is something that I, of course, didn't know until I had Terry Chimon and got really involved with the Japanese American Veterans Association. And that is when Truman addressed the Japanese American soldiers at the White House, or he left the White House, at the end of after the end of the war, what he said was, I think, very compelling. What he said was, and this is what people always remember, right? You fought the enemy abroad and prejudice at home, and you have won. But that's not where his address ends. Where his address continues on, he says, you have won, but you must continue to fight until this republic, this great republic, stands for what the Constitution says it stands for, and that is for the welfare of all of the people, all of the time. And that, I think, is where it's our marching orders to move forward together and to solve those problems together going forward. Thank you.
Would you like to come up, please? Kathy, please. Each year, we give a tribute to someone interred here at the cemetery. And it's my honor to give a remembrance of my father Key Kiyokazu Kobayashi today. 11/15 is today's date, November 15th. Numbers have a way of working in mysterious ways. My father, Key Kiyokazu Kobayashi, was born on March 11, 1922, in Fresno, California. Both his parents passed away before he turned the age of 4, and he was raised by family and family friends. He grew up in Fresno, Turlock, and eventually graduated from Alameda High School. He got accepted to the University of California, Berkeley, and was an excited and avid student. In the second semester of his sophomore year, he learned that Executive Order 9066 was signed by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This order authorized the evacuation of all persons deemed a threat to national security from the West Coast to relocation centers further inland. Little did he know or understand the road that lay ahead. He was moved from the college campus to temporary housing, then to Assembly Center in Fresno, before finally arriving in the Gila River Relocation Center in Arizona. It was an eye-opening experience for a 21-year-old young man. He adjusted and adapted as best as he could. He joined the camp baseball team to give him the chance to travel outside the barbed wire fences to play other camps. He realized that the only way to actually leave the camp was either for the war to end or for him to join the United States military. He chose to join the United States Army. Due to his bilingual skills, he entered the military intelligence service and achieved the rank of lieutenant. Upon one of his deployments, he meets my mom in Tokyo, Kyoko Toyota, who was a Japanese national at the time, having lost her father, older brother, and sister to the horrific Tokyo fire bombings. I can only imagine what my grandmother was thinking when a young man wearing a United States Army uniform comes up and asks her for her daughter's hand in marriage after all the suffering she experienced. Our dad came back to the States with a young bride that spoke no English, 2 small children at the time, and went back to finishing his schooling. He graduated from UC Berkeley with a degree in political science, and later went on and received his master's degree from Columbia University in international relations. But things weren't easy. There was still quite a bit of anti-Japanese sentiment after the war, and finding a job was very, very challenging. Fortunately, some of his military buddies would vouch for him, and he was able to get a job at the United States Patent Office. And then he moved over to the Library of Congress, where he spent the bulk of his career as the assistant head of the Japanese section. He became the father of 7 children, 4 girls, 3 boys. My mom became a proud naturalized U.S. citizen and eventually had her own distinguished career with the U.S. government. Our dad was active, very active. He was the president member of our elementary, intermediate, and high school PTAs. He was a proud, long-serving member and officer of the Kiwanis Club. He was an active officer and member of the D.C. chapter of the JCL. He was one of the original members of JAVA. He worked on the Commission on Wartime Relocation and Internment of Civilians. He was a long-time volunteer and officer for Little League Baseball as their Far East liaison representative. He was instrumental in bringing the Japanese and Taiwan teams to the Little League World Series, even acting as a team interpreter and representative for the ABC Wild World sports coverage. A year after his death, Fairfax County named the baseball park that my brothers and sisters grew up on and played on at Jefferson Village and Falls Church after the Key Kobayashi baseball field, our field of dreams. We are here today in part because of our dad. We began a memorial service back in 1948 with other JCO members like Mike Masaoka and Ira Shimasaki for an annual Memorial Day service here at Arlington National Cemetery. He was the chairman of this event for 44 consecutive years until his death in 1992. My family and I have been attending this event for many, many years. For the last 8 years, I have had the honor to carry on this tradition as the chairman of this event. It has been running for 72 years now, the longest continuing running service by an outside organization in the history of Arlington National Cemetery. It was on 11/15, November 15th, in 1992, that changed our family lives. It That day, 28 years ago, and my mom's husband of 40 years at that time, our dad, died suddenly and unexpectedly of a heart attack. It was an incredibly sad day. I miss him to this day, and I know my mom and my brothers and sisters do as well. However, this story does not end on this sad note. Just over a month ago, on October 14th, my only child and daughter, Kara, had a son. Mine and Mary Kay's first grandchild, a first great-grandson to my mom and dad. His name is Cody Kiyokazu Dibyakimi, after his mom's grandfather, her dad's father, her grandmother's husband. Ironically, the time of birth was 11:15. As they say, as one chapter closes, another one opens. Here's the memory of my mom's husband, our dad, our children's grandfather and great-grandfather, a community leader, a fighter for civil rights, a coach, a volunteer, military officer, patriotic citizen, your friend and colleague, and a great man, Kiyokazu Kobayashi. Love you, Dad. Each year, for the last 25 years or so, we've had the honor of having Mike Masoka's granddaughter, Michelle Amano, read the Japanese American Creed. So we're very pleased in today's world that we are here today and to be able to read this again. Michelle.
I am proud that I'm an American citizen of Japanese ancestry, for my very background makes me appreciate more fully the wonderful advantages of this nation. I believe in her institutions, ideals, and traditions. I glory in her heritage. I boast of her history. I trust in her future. She has granted me liberties and opportunities such as no individual enjoys in this world today. She has given me an education befitting kings. She's entrusted me with the responsibilities of the franchise. She's permitted me to build a home, to earn a livelihood, to worship, think, speak, act as I please, as a free man, equal to every other man. Although some individuals may discriminate against me, I shall never become bitter or lose faith, for I know that such persons are not representative of the majority of the American people. True, I shall do all in my power to discourage such practices, but I shall do it in the American way, above board, in the open, through courts of law, by education, by proving myself to be worthy of equal treatment and consideration. I am firm in my belief that American sportsmanship and attitude of fair play will judge citizenship and patriotism on the basis of action and achievement and not on the basis of physical characteristics. Because I believe in America, and I trust she believes in me, and because I have received innumerable benefits from her, I pledge myself to honor her at all times and in all places, to support her Constitution, to obey her laws, to respect her flag, to defend her against all enemies, foreign or domestic, to actively assume my duties and obligations as a citizen, cheerfully and without any reservations whatsoever, in the hope that I may become a better American and a greater American.
Thank you, Michelle. At this time, I'd like to ask all veterans and active service members to come up and introduce yourself, please, and then we will have the playing of the text. Please. Kat, please. Anyone else? Martin? Please state your name and
Captain Sophia Macri, Medical Board, United States Navy.
Carol Yamada, veteran, U.S. Army.
My name is Howard High, veteran of U.S. Army.
Art
Scott Galley, U.S. Army.
Al Goshen, U.S. Army.
Please rise. At this time, are there any announcements that anyone would like to make? I'd like to make a few acknowledgements. I'd like to thank Arlington National Cemetery, Mr. Mac McFarland for assisting us and allowing us to have this event today, and the superintendent. Also, there are some people I'd like to recognize very quickly. Mr. Jimmy Sweeney, the principal of Spark Montanagi Elementary School, and his wife. Thank you very much for coming. We very much enjoy having the students speak each year and what it means to them for Memorial Day and being a Patriots. It's a wonderful part of our event and could continue. Good, thank you. Also, my mom's here. It's her birthday on Wednesday, so happy birthday, Mom. My sister came in from Texas. My brother's here. My nephew's here. My wife Mary Kay's here. My niece is here. And our grandniece, Emily. She's here. And a very special guest is here. Her name's Shirley Carroll. She's a very dear friend of mine. Her husband lost a bout of brain cancer this year. He was the program executive officer of the Enterprise Information Systems for the United States Army. We were dear friends. He was a tremendous civil servant and a senior executive, and I miss him dearly. And he will be interred here, and can't think of a better place for him to be, close to my dad, and here too. But I'm really happy you're here, Shirley. Thank you for coming. Other than that, thank everyone for coming out today. We really appreciate it in these challenging times. Everyone, thank you online. We